Good morning, Rita. It's really
Good
nice to
morning.
see you.
Likewise.
Unfortunately, in these pretty turbulent times between COVID and pandemic, and now the injustice that we're seeing, across our nation, I hope you're well and healthy, and I appreciate you taking the time to have some nice dialogue with me this morning that we'd normally be doing, over a meal someplace in a nice restaurant. And now we've all been locked in our homes for the last 10 weeks or 11 weeks, 12 weeks. And I'm just curious, if I was a fly on the wall, 12 weeks ago when we all went home and no one knew kind of where this was going to lead. But more importantly, those first 2 weeks inside Disney, inside, your bunker with regard to what was happening from an ad supported perspective. Can you share with me a little bit about what those first 2 weeks were like for you and your team?
Thanks, Bill. It's a pleasure to be here. So the first 2 weeks, it feels like a year ago. I can't actually believe it's only 12 weeks ago, because so much has happened and so much has changed. But I would say the first 2 weeks were really about listening and hearing our clients. We had a lot of conversations, not only as a team, obviously making sure that first and foremost our employees were feeling set up well and understood how to connect with clients and understood how to communicate as an organization, which was critically important given the amount of conversations we were having with our partners and the types of conversations we were having with our partners. It was a very quick timeline in terms of response, in terms of listening to what people needed, in terms of helping clients and our partners through what they were dealing with in their businesses in real time, and being flexible and accommodating to all of those needs while actually making sure that we were setting them up for what would be a very fluid and ongoing dialogue with every single one of them and their agencies across the next, not only 2 weeks, but the weeks ensuing that. When I think back, it was such a time of focus on people and well-being and making sure that people felt safe and understood that first and foremost, they needed to take care of their families and their teams at home, and make sure everyone was set up with the ability to be flexible, given that people had not only to bring their work home, but also their families home. And so many of our employees have young kids, and they now became not only our employees, but they also became teachers and, nannies and household, operators in addition to a full-time job. And so we wanted to make sure that we were addressing the needs of our employee base first, to make sure that they felt comfortable. And then really how that transpired into the conversations with our clients. Some were really hard conversations, right? I can tell you I had a conversation with one of our CMOs who's been a longtime partner and advertiser across Disney, who was really concerned about were they even going to be able to make payroll the following week, and how you have those conversations and make sure that people felt like we were there for them and understood that this was a long game. We were not going to be making short-term financial decisions that impacted the viability and long-term relationships that we had with our partners, to make sure that we could come out of this to whatever the next phase is, because I don't think the next phase is the new normal. I think the next phase is the next phase, and really be there for them to understand how we were going to help them through it, how we were going to be flexible and accommodating to that, and then really prepare for the inevitable return and rebuild in some cases of their business.
Yeah. Rita, I have to tell you that I give you and your team a gold star, a big one, because it was really simple. How can we help? What can we do for you? We were going through the same thing. I drew an analogy to like being in an emergency room and triage those first 2 weeks, where every patient that came in needed help, and those were our clients. And we had multiple patients that were not healthy, and we needed to react incredibly quickly. And I really feel that the Disney team did whatever we needed to do to make our clients feel that we were all working on their behalf. So thank you a lot, an awful lot for that. Question with regard to, so I think everybody took a huge hit in April. There's no doubt about that. Massive articles written, 30, 40% drop in ad revenue. And And then there's a lot of articles out there right now with regard to the rest of the quarter, and we're almost at the end of Q2 and going into Q3, where the marketplace, and my clients are reading these articles, where the marketplace is still significantly depressed, and huge inventory shortfalls in terms of ad revenue, and those clients that participate in the upfront now feel that maybe they can get a better deal if they go into scatter. And is that fact or fiction? Like, give me the honest assessment of where the marketplace is and what you're seeing right now as we kind of come out of Q2 and look to Q3.
Great. Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment on my team. I know that, you know, it was really important for us, and given the disruption our own company was going through, we had a very thoughtful lens that we were looking at everything, because as a media and entertainment company, we were also in the travel business and in the retail business. And so obviously knowing how disrupted we were and how we wanted people to treat our, company, it was very important that we took that into account in everything we did. And so that was definitely something that helped inform that. But on the notion of, fact or fiction, I can only speak for our portfolio of brands. And while I know that there have been some pricing concessions in the marketplace overall as an industry and a marketplace, because you're seeing that. And I can tell you, just because as we brought into RFPs and clients come and look for media buys on our platforms, one of the things that, we have lost some of them because they have specifically said, well, in the X space, and I'm not going to call out any business because that's, it's for those teams to be able to talk about their own business. You guys are not winning the RFP. You're going to win it here or there or whatever. And so I know that there has been some pricing accommodation across some of our competitors. We have not seen that. We still have scatter market pricing that is well into the double digits across the board. I think part of that is the brands that we represent and the amount of inventory that we sold last year in the upfront. And frankly, that people didn't really take options at the level that, had been projected to be taken in the marketplace. A lot of people, when what happened in March and April, moved money later in the year. They didn't necessarily pull money out. And so we are very well sold across our portfolio of properties. And we're also, having conversations around sports and sports coming back. And, some of the leagues have made announcements, others will be making announcements shortly. And so I think there will be a robust, call it third and fourth quarter in the sports marketplace, where you might see a transition of how business comes back in terms of advertisers wanting to come into the marketplace and really take advantage of big opportunities with big audiences in what is, clearly sports drives cultural moments and opportunities to really share in what will make people feel like we're getting back to some semblance of normal, right? Sports is such an identified opportunity in terms of really driving cultural engagement and opportunities to engage together. And even if we can't be in the same room watching together, you're definitely going to be on social media sharing, watching your favorite teams, with your college friends, whether it's college football or NFL or Major League Baseball or NBA. But from a pricing perspective, I would say we have not experienced that. So I don't want to say fiction, because I actually don't think that's true for the market, but it's fiction for us, if you will.
I don't know. All your competitors telling me you're diving.
Yeah.
So
great. I'm glad they think so.
Yeah. No, but I have to tell you something. I couldn't think of one other company that took as much pain as Disney did, when this hit. When you think about the studios and no one going to the movies, you think about Disney cruises and no one taking cruises, you think about the theme parks and no one going to the theme parks. You think about ESPN and all the sports that came off the table. You had to be in a better position than anybody to understand the pain that marketers were going through. And I think that's one of the reasons why you reacted the way you did in terms of helping everybody out. And when you talk about the sports side, so you're very optimistic. Let's chat a little bit about that, because obviously it's an enormous revenue stream for ESPN.
Yeah.
It's a shot of adrenaline into culture of America to have sports come back. Can you share with me at least what you know right now about NFL and college football, which are the two biggest platforms I think on ESPN for the fall, and what's the current plan that you know of with sports returning?
Yeah, well, I think what I know a lot in terms of sports returning is what you're reading in the press. And so it is clear that there is a lot of preparation happening. NFL, as you know, already announced, but Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, NBA, there is a lot of press around the amount of preparation that is those leagues are going through right now to get back into gameplay. And so while I don't have any concrete answers I can share today because the leagues haven't really finalized anything with us to be able to share that, I can tell you that there is a plan in place and there is tremendous momentum and movement. It's been in the press, so this is not surprising that, two of those leagues are actually talking to us at Wild World of Sports in Orlando to be able to house in one location and gameplay in one location all of the rest of the seasons for both of those leagues. And so, I'm very optimistic about what that means for at least those two leagues, because I think we are very excited about the planning that's going on, obviously. And the planning is hugely enormous, not only because of obviously the protections that have to be in place now, but how they're going to produce, what it means for fans, how are they going to work with their league partners. When you think of the sponsors that any of these leagues have in terms of really adding value to their partnerships, as well as the media partners that they're working with, whether it's us or any of our competitors, to bring those games to audiences. So I'm very optimistic about what it means for sports. I think, will it change how sports are covered? For sure. Do we think about, how we're going to have second screen experiences that engage fans and allow for sharing of, the excitement of play of action when you can't necessarily have full stadiums full of people? Even if they allow some fans in, it's never going to be the full packed, sold out stadium and the energy that brings to a game. And yet you can create so much of that, as you saw when we produced the NFL draft with 200 live feeds from around the country. There was a tremendous engagement around that property, and it was the biggest NFL draft of all time because it was covered differently and relevant for the times and how people were consuming those sports. And so I think it's done, it's opened our eyes to ways that you can do things very differently than before, that it's different. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's real for right now. And we're excited about what that means. And I know Jimmy and his team have been really prepping for how we're going to cover sports from a talent perspective, from an on-site perspective, and really the fan engagement perspective on second screen experiences as part of the go forward.
And you know what, Rita, I think that obviously, we all believe the country needs sports back in such a big way. It is the heart and soul of bringing America together, and I think we need it more than ever before. And Disney has always been known for innovation. I mean, that's where Walt Disney started with imagination and innovation. And I do agree what you did with the draft was amazing. And when you think about the possibilities of creative innovation, of what you can do now with fanless sports and how creative you can get with bringing the game to life in other ways, you must be thinking about some really exciting platforms. And I hope you come to us first to discuss those because we want to break through for our clients and we want to have unique experiences. Is there anything that you can talk about, or are they still on the drawing board? Because I do think you have a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, we do. We're actually brainstorming right now, and specifically, you have two big partners of ours in Geico and Cap One, who are big sports partners, and we are working with our biggest sports partners now, and really trying to identify the things that really matter to them, because they are unique conversations. It's not the same thing across the board for all of these partners, and so when you think of a partner who is on site for College Game Day, for example, they like that experience of touching the fan in that way. And how do you recreate the touching the fan experience in a virtual world? It can actually potentially be broader and a larger reach than actually the people that you would touch on site. But there are reasons why partners come on board for certain properties and how they activate. And so it is a one-to-one conversation with each brand to make sure, as we think about what it looks like on the other side, it addresses the KPIs they're looking to solve for. But we are super excited because the whole notion of Creative Works and how we've brought together creative executions for brand partners in this time has really challenged us in ways that we thought we'll never be able to deliver something in 48 hours, and yet we have. And it's been a ton of fun to work on. It's been a ton of work, I'm not gonna lie. But it's been a ton of fun to work on because it does create bigger opportunities that, by the way, when we get back to whatever the new normal is, will allow us to continue to do those things and activate in traditional ways where you can touch the fan physically. And so we're super excited about that. I will ask you though, Bill, on your side with the clients that you have, do they ask you and your teams as you think about what the new normal is in sports, for things that are unique to any particular league, or are they thinking about, in a world of, social distancing and or, what could be, maybe a year or 2 years until we have a vaccine where people go back to normal, or will people even ever go back to normal once we do have a vaccine or whatever? Do they talk to you about ways that your teams could be helping them innovate around creative and storytelling?
So, Rita, that's a great question. And yeah, we are in, 24/7 conversations, with our clients. Tone right now in today's environment is really important in terms of how they behave in the marketplace. But every single one of them are looking for uniqueness. So, you've come to us with some ideas that are very brand specific, and it's wonderful because every client doesn't want to feel that they can just slap another client's logo onto some idea. And as you know, each brand has its own unique personality. So we are thirsting more than ever before. Media and creative are working hand in hand, and creative has to do with fan experience. It has to do with your user experience on your platforms. It has to do with commercial flow as well, not just the messaging that's out there. So every single one of our clients, especially those heavily invested in sports, where engagement and authenticity is critical, we are looking and obviously chatting with your teams as well about how to bring that uniqueness to life in the new world that we're living in.